Before the break, Greg Palcott told you how terrorists overran the U.S. consulate compound in Benghazi, Libya. A handful of Americans caught by surprise, pinned down in 3 different locations. 3 of these men, including Ambassador Chris Stevens, have locked themselves in a so-called safe haven in one of the buildings. The attackers can't break in, so they've set the place ablaze. The safe haven has become a fiery jail in the middle of a shooting gallery. Once again from Benghazi, here's Greg Palcott.
September 11th, sometime after 10 p.m., the compound is under heavy attack. This Libyan militia member says he was there.
You can't hear anything from the RPG firing, explosions. The shots going beside you, it's so loud. You can't even take your breath. I can't even move. So it's like organized attack.
Meanwhile, the entire safe haven, which takes up half of the first floor of the main residence, is black with thick smoke and fumes. Stephen, Smith, and Ubin move to a bathroom within the safe area, which has a window. They try to open it, but it doesn't help. There's just too much smoke. So they decide to leave the safe haven and take their chances with the armed attackers who have taken over the compound. This is the window that Special Agent Ubin jimmies open and crawls out of, but Stevens and Smith do not crawl out after him. And so, even though he can barely see, barely breathe, he goes back in. In fact, he goes back in and out several times. He can't find them, and he is overcome with smoke. Back at the CIA annex, sources tell Fox News there's another request to go and assist the people at the compound. But once again, they say they're told to stay put. Once again, the CIA says it never happened. Quote, "We can say with confidence that the agency reacted quickly to aid our colleagues during that terrible evening in Benghazi." End quote. At the compound, 3 of the diplomatic security agents make their way to the main residence. They crawl into the residence on their hands and knees, feeling their way through the building to try to find their 2 colleagues. They find Smith. They pull him out of the building. He's dead. Just before 11 p.m., at the annex, former SEAL Tyrone Woods and 5 others are said to ignore their orders and race to the consulate. They bring with them 16 Libyans from the February 17th Brigade militia. Some surround the compound, the others go in. They are unable to find Stevens. By 11 p.m., the Libyan forces say they can no longer hold the perimeter.
The attack was so strong and the ammo was finished. So we were calling for backup, and even the backup wouldn't came.
Meanwhile, the American agents carrying Smith's body pile into an armored vehicle and exit the main gate. They head for the annex about a mile away, but almost immediately the crowd fires upon them and throws 2 grenades under their vehicle. They take direct fire from AK-47s from about 2 feet away. Despite 2 flat tires and heavy damage to their vehicle, they keep rolling. Several blocks away, they hit more traffic in a busy Benghazi neighborhood. The car careens over the middle divider, pushes forward against opposing traffic, and finally makes it to the annex and again hoped for safety. Midnight, some 2 hours after the attack began, a quick reaction force from the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli leaves for Benghazi on a chartered aircraft. On that plane is former Navy SEAL Glenn Doherty, who will soon be fending off heavy fire. Back at the annex, the battle is on again. Fighters hitting the place with AK-47 fire and rocket-propelled grenades, forcing those inside to retreat to a building further back in the annex compound. According to Fox's Jennifer Griffin, yet another call is made for military backup. Sources say their request is refused. Meanwhile, special forces are moved to southern Italy, 480 miles away. But Pentagon officials later expressed concern about putting them in harm's way without a clear picture of intelligence. Stationed 1,000 miles away are jet fighters and attack helicopters. Officials say strafing the street was not an option for fear of civilian casualties and collateral damage. Back at the mission, looters enter the building and find the body of Stevens slumped on the floor. Although they don't know who he is, they drag him out through a window. His eyes are dazed, his face smoke-stained, seemingly lifeless. When someone says he is breathing, the crowd is relieved, cheering, Allah Akbar, God is great. Around 1 a.m., Ambassador Stevens is brought by car here to the Benghazi Medical Center, where doctors try desperately to resuscitate him for some 45 minutes. They fail. He dies of severe asphyxiation. After 2 a.m., the fight has been going on for over 4 hours. and the drone overhead is running out of fuel. A second is sent, just as the Quick Reaction Force arrives at the Benghazi airport. But Libyan officials delay them for 45 minutes, negotiating over who will escort them. They arrive at the CIA annex around 3 a.m.
Around 4 a.m., this annex compound is hit by another wave of attacks. It is described as planned and precise. A round of mortar fire targeting the roof of a building set well behind this gate. That turns out to be dangerous and deadly.
Badly injured in that attack, Special Agent David Ubben, the same man who struggled valiantly to save the lives of Ambassador Stevens and Information Manager Smith. 2 other Americans are killed. Former Navy SEALs Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods, who manned the gun position on the rooftop of the annex. They were hit by a mortar. They didn't go down without a fight. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin.
We know from witnesses and sources that spoke to those witnesses that Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods, the machine gun that they were sharing on the roof, was caked in blood. It is said that they continued firing and they continued fighting after they were hit.
A decision is made to evacuate the whole enterprise. Libyan militia coordinate a convoy to escort the Americans to the airport. September 12th, 8:30 a.m. The Americans evacuate on 2 flights. The second plane leaves with the remaining Americans on board and the bodies of Ambassador Stevens, Sean Smith, and Agents Doherty and Woods.
Chris Stevens was the first U.S. ambassador killed on duty in more than 3 decades. The story moves back to Washington. Up next, new details on the Obama administration's reaction. Was it the fog of war, an attempted cover-up, or something else? Special Report investigates after the break.